As you saw there, the opposition continues to press the Prime Minister on alleged elections interference. And today, the House committee studying allegations of elections interference heard from Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly and Intergovernmental Affairs Minister Dominic LeBlanc. That did prompt some really tense exchanges between those cabinet ministers and opposition MPs. That committee is actually happening again as we speak. They are still talking about this issue today. We're going to show you some of that in a moment. The big question, though, can the Prime Minister get the opposition on board with what he has called a special rapporteur, or do all roads lead to a public inquiry? With me now to discuss that, MP Taleeb Noormohamed, a Liberal member of the Standing Committee on National Security. Hi, Mr. Noormohamed. Good to have you with us. Thanks for making the time.
It's good to be here, Vassy.
On the question of a public inquiry, I know that you've been on this program. We've talked about it many times. The government has now appointed a special rapporteur to make that determination, but we don't really have any details about when that might happen or how long a decision on that might take. Is your government prepared to limit the amount of time that special rapporteur has to make a call?
Look, I think it's important in these situations, and I'm going to start by saying it's important for Canadians to know that the 2019, 2021 elections were free and fair. Nobody disputes that. No opposition parties, no experts. I think important to start with that framework. Now, with that in mind, what the special rapporteur is going to have the freedom to do is to determine the amount, the scope, and the degree to which they want to dig into whatever it is that they feel is appropriate. They're going to come back with recommendations, and I think it's important, given the seriousness of this matter and given the importance of ensuring that Canadians can feel confident in the process, that individual is given the time to do the work that they need to do and to make the recommendations that they need to make. Our government has said unequivocally we're going to accept the recommendations. If that recommendation includes a public inquiry, that's what we're going to do. But it's important to give them the time to do that. And the challenge with limiting the time on that, Vassy, is that if they say, look, we need to do more work on this, the last thing that you want is for folks to say, look, government curtailed the work that individual was doing in their independent capacity.
I certainly understand that, but I also think that with each passing day, you can hear this get more and more partisan. You can hear the calls for a public inquiry cement more among a unified, really, opposition benches from all parties. And if we're looking at another 6 months for some individual who has yet to be named to decide whether or not an inquiry, a review, whatever the mechanism is worth recommending to your government, what happens in the interim? Aren't you still vulnerable to the accusation that you're not doing enough to deal with the problem?
Well, I think you just need to look at what has already been done and what is being done now, right? So the last two elections, a protocol was set in place that we've talked about before, where you had senior public servants, nonpartisan public servants, who were there to determine whether or not there was a risk to the outcome of the elections. They determined, in fact, there was no such impact on the outcome of the elections. Since then, we've said that NSICOP, the Committee of Parliamentarians who are cleared at the national security, at the top secret level to look at materials, they're going to be digging into this and making determinations on their own. You've got NSIRA, the National Security Intelligence Review Group, who are going to be looking at this under their mandate. So you've got that process happening. And now you've got the rapporteur. So you've got 3 different processes that are underway and in place to come up with recommendations and to come back with independent, thoughtful work that we can then look at and make decisions on. That doesn't mean that things aren't being done in the process. In fact, you've already got work being done, as has been done since 2015, to make sure that there is that level of confidence. And this special rapporteur, the objective is as much about ensuring that Canadians feel that sense of confidence as it is about anything else.
But that's kind of the point, right? They don't, despite all the things that you laid out. And I don't want to take away from them because your government has done stuff to address the issue, including all the things that you said. Canadians still overwhelmingly have questions about the degree to which democracy was threatened in those elections. And I'm not in any way saying that the outcome was not free or fair. You're right about that. But for example, there's reporting yesterday from Global News on NSICOP, which you referred to, that it did review the issue and sent that information to the Prime Minister's office, and he was aware of it. We don't have any confirmation from the Prime Minister because he didn't answer questions about that. On the work done by the panel that you referred to that was evaluated by Maurice Rosenberg, I spoke to Mr. Rosenberg just this weekend, and he said that the work that he did to review that panel did not include the latest allegations that surfaced as of 3 weeks ago from the Globe and Mail and Global News. So it's not a full... He actually said point blank, it's not the final word on all of this. So again, I'm asking you about putting some clear parameters on what this special rapporteur is, who it is, what they do, how fast they do stuff, in order to combat the vulnerability that persists against your government at this point around these questions.
For sure. And look, Canadians are right to be concerned. It means that they care about their democracy. It's right for all of us to be concerned, not just as parliamentarians, but as citizens. And the processes that are in place may not be overnight solutions. And, it's very easy to say, we want this to be dealt with in 24, 48, 72 hours. That's not how national security works. That is not how matters of national security are considered. You have to look at the intelligence. You have to look at the evidence, and they're two very different things. You have to weigh out the impact of those decisions. You have to determine what can be revealed publicly and what must be maintained, under secret. And when you talk about the idea of a public inquiry, the irony of a public inquiry when it comes to national security matters is that the very nature of national security materials, classified materials, means you can't put that into the public domain. So the question remains, if we don't allow all of this work to take place, what is a public inquiry actually going to solve? The idea of doing all of this work in advance of whatever those recommendations are allows us to ensure that we have clarity of scope, we have a clarity of understanding of what the issues are. And then if there are recommendations that come out of that, we're going to accept whatever those recommendations are.
Okay, Mr. Noormohamed, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. That's Liberal MP Taleeb Noormohamed.